and I'm so happy that you've joined me on another Saturday for another amazing episode. So on today's episode, I'm just going to go straight to the topic, and that is boarding schools. I don't talk about everything about boarding schools. I'm just going to be talking about some things about boarding schools because we also what happened last month at Utumishi Girls High School in Gilgil, like the lives that were lost. God, I mean, may they rest in peace and may their families find, I don't know, some sort of relief, because there's this dad who was crying so much. And I remember seeing like one of their scaries who was just holding him and hugging him, like, they call it a bear hug or something. The way he was just holding him tight while the man was so furious because somebody came with politics and started politicking around there, and people are mourning, people are looking for their children because they have to wait for the DNA, they have to wait for, I don't know, the school to release the number of kids who are there, who have survived, and all of this. And imagine as a parent to be at home and get that call. And then you go there and you're in anguish and you don't know what's happening, and for somebody to come and start bringing politics. So imagine that. May the good Lord be with those parents who lost their kids. And, may the young girls, 16 souls that perished on that day, may they rest in peace. And may the ones who are hurt heal in Jesus' name. Because I'm not a parent yet, but I'm thinking about it. And I avoided reading stories about Utumishi girls and the whole tragedy, because I didn't want to just start crying. Like, I'm in a place in my life where I have so many of my own burdens that I'm carrying that I do not have the space to carry other people's, unless it's like, I don't know what kind of scenario that I would be just okay with carrying other people's burdens. But I feel like I'm always a second away from crying. There's the lady who makes my hair, she was sharing a story about her life, and I could feel tears, they were burning, in my eyes. I wanted to cry. And then I told her some things about me. We talked a little bit, but I remember leaving there, and it's a miracle I didn't cry. Actually, I know why I didn't, because I walked from her place to another. I spoke to other people before I go to my house. So in that process, those stories, they went a little bit lower in my mind, but I would have shed tears in front of her, and she would have been like, what? Because like right now I can't. It's okay. Like, if somebody wants to share, I'll hear it, yes. But it's like I'm always a second away from crying. And so, like, avoiding every negative thing. And I'm so glad that I've trained my algorithm online that, okay, if I'm scrolling down my timeline, I will see those stories. So I'll see somebody else was posted, like the sponsored things, the suggested things, I'll see them. So I usually avoid them. What I do is that whenever I go to either Facebook, or actually not even Facebook, I don't go to Facebook a lot, but mostly Instagram. When I go to Instagram, I'll just check like stories for the people that I follow, and it will be like the first 10 people or even 5 or something like that, because as again, I've trained my algorithm. So the people that like my cousins, my family, my friends, and people that I value, like Caroline Mutoko, Adelo Nyango, Celestine Dinda, Pinky Gelani, and some 2-3 other online people, theirs are usually the first one with my family. So I'll see those ones, and after I've seen those ones, I'm off. I go to my Explorer page or search page at the back. I usually call it at the back, I don't know. I just feel like that is the page at the back of the book. So I go there and check, and my algorithm is so well behaved, because it's videos about cats, videos about dogs, videos about small babies and tiny humans and the way they behave, and it's so funny. Videos about pandas and pandas behaving like human beings. I saw one the other day that, a panda was walking like its caretaker, like with its hands at the back, and it was so funny. Shows that I watch. So you'll find like Trevor Noah there. You'll find like now that Harry is touring, he's there. You'll find shows that I'm watching as well, because I've been checking them and engaging with the content, reading, seeing other people's reactions to watching the shows. So that is what you'll find there. But every other sad thing I don't like. So something might be happening in the world in Kenya and I won't even know about it, because I will have avoided going to my timeline. But if I want to know about what's happening, there's my timeline. I'll go down, scroll down, and you'll always see something bad. So while people are mourning the Utumishi Girls High School tragedy, I was just trying to avoid my timeline completely. But of course, Kenyan celebrities who I follow as well were mourning them. So that's why I got to know what was happening and stuff. And a lot has been said since then about boarding schools being banned, about people just not wanting their kids to go to boarding schools anymore, and all of that. And to some extent, I agree about banning boarding schools. But I'm also like, what happens to the parents who are air hostesses and stewards and stuff like that, who are pilots, parents who travel a lot for work, parents who work outside of the country? They only come, get their children, and they go back with the kids wherever they're working when they close schools, or they come back. I don't know, like how they are, what happens. So they prefer their child being in a boarding school, being taken care of by a school, and they pay for good schools. By the way, the children, they have washing machines to wash their clothes and stuff like that. I don't like it when like I hear like a grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 child is already in boarding school. I don't like it. But it happens, and parents do that for a reason. Unless it's that step parent thing where they come and go like, yeah, I think your child should go to a boarding school. Then I'm like, no, I don't want to agree with this. I do not want this person in this child's life, like at all. So yeah, like they can tolerate them during the holidays, but once schools open, nope, leave. And then they give birth to their own child and they want to raise them in the house, going to a normal school. So that is just a devilish woman or devilish human being, I should say, because some men also do that. But anyway, boarding schools I don't think are bad. It's just that they should be managed properly. I've seen the Ministry of Education have tried to change like the school dates, the so that they can have less time in schools, which will also be able to help the kids to have less burnout. Because after the Utumishi saga, Lenana boys had an issue, and Bungoma High School, I saw also Bungoma Boys or Bungoma High School, I don't know, something, Bungoma Boys High School, if I'm not mistaken, they also had an issue. And you see this all the time. It usually starts in third term, closer to KCSE or however it's being called right now. But I don't know what happened this second term. I remember when I was in boarding school, the worst thing that happened to me while I was there, well, not really happened, that I had while I was in school, were these there were these people who were spreading rumors that there was this woman walking around in the school at night. Her head was a horse's head, and I don't know her body, or her head was a human head, and then her body was I don't know what, and then she had horse legs or something. Like it was just terrible. And where I used to sleep, my friends, I think I've told you this story before. My bed in Form 1 and Form 2, it was a top bunk, and I was sleeping next to a window, and it didn't shut. Those, I don't know how you call them, but they didn't close. Like I will go to bed and pray and just close my eyes, cover myself. I cannot cover myself up to my head right now. Living in my own house, I cannot do it. I will feel like I'm suffocating in that duvet, under that blanket or whatever. Even if it's just a sheet, I'll feel like I'm suffocating. In high school, I used to cover myself up to my head, my blanket, my bed cover, all of it. And I survived. I breathed. So I will be so afraid. And if something touched me by accident, hey, I'll be like, yeah, I'm dead. I'm dead. You're gonna find me dead. I was so scared. But as you grow older, as you realize they're just stories, I learned how not to put it in my head, how not to think about it before going to bed, because the stories you hear before going to bed, they determine your dreams. Yeah, chaotic. And I remember a space mate of mine, her name was Faith. I remember Faith one time, she woke up in the middle of the night screaming. And everybody was up and was like, what? And her bedmate was the dome captain at the time, Irish Hill. So we all woke up and were like, what's happening? What's the problem? And she woke up and sat down and she was like, I've seen it. I've seen that lady with the horse's head, blah, blah, blah. Those stories were being told to her while she was in the class during preps. And while she was walking to the dormitory, she was hearing about these stories. Then she came to the dorm, because what we used to do in my boarding school is that once the bell rang after preps, you will stand in a circle, sing praise and worship, and then pray. Then leave the classrooms, go to the dormitory, do the same thing. Be in a circle in the middle of the dorm and hold hands. You sing praise and worship, hold hands, pray. That is something that used to do. It was a custom in our school. All that time that we were praying and everything, she wasn't taking in the prayer. She was just thinking about those things that she was being told on her way to the dorm. And so she went to bed with that in mind. And so she dreamed, had a nightmare about it, and she woke up screaming. The entire dorm was up. Other dormitories were switching on their lights because they were like, what is happening in Ruenzori dorm? Because my dormitory is called Ruenzori. So everybody was waking up and wondering, like, what's happening? But it was just Faith. She screamed because she had had a terrible nightmare. So, like, boarding schools, yo, I don't know. I can't talk about every school because I know there are schools that are boarding schools, but they feel like, yo, these people are living their life. They're eating fish, they're eating chicken, they're eating whatever. Ours, we were struggling with githeri and ugali. Githeri had weevils, ugali and skuma wiki, and I'm glad that it was skuma wiki, not cabbage. Cabbage was like once in a while. I don't even remember ever eating cabbage, but we must have because there's times where there was no skuma wiki. And then rice that was just ugali with mbosho, yo, ha, and a lot of other things. So I understand why people are saying ban boarding schools, but I'm also like, no, there are people who really need them, because not all of them are bad, but they just need good governance. They need people who are taking care of the children because we have had stories. Like, this is why I'm saying I avoid going to, the dark side of Instagram, because if you go looking for it, you'll find it. I've heard of stories of teachers doing terrible things to students in boarding schools. But then the students go home and they never tell their parents. I do not know why. Although I know, a part of me knows why, because there are things that happened to me, not in boarding schools, but just in my life, that I never told anybody. And as an adult, I look back at them and I'm like, I should have said something. I should have told an adult. But then as a child, you are like, I'll tell and nobody will believe me. Nobody will trust that I'm saying the truth. And because sometimes you tell these things to grown up, you hear parents saying, like, stop lying about that person. Stop lying about your teacher. Stop lying about so and so. They are grown up. Do not lie about a grown up. You know? So things happen and you just keep quiet about them because you don't know any better. Because as millennials, the way we were being raised, it was from fear. Respect your elders. Do not talk while they're talking. Do not lie about elders. Do not, do not, do not, do not. And if you do, we are going to beat you up. But now millennials, because we are the parents of the Gen Zs and then are they called alphas or whatever? We tell them, like, whatever happens, come and tell me. So I believe, like, if you're open-minded, if we talk to our kids properly, if we raise them properly, they're not going to do things that these girls did. Because tell me why the girls at Utumishi Girls, they woke up, the five of them or however many they were. I hear these 9, the ones in court. Are they 9 or are they 5 still? So these girls wake up, they start the fire, and they leave the dormitory and they lock the other girls inside. So people online are so mixed because some are like, no, they're just kids, they need a chance to change. And others are like, no, I saw a woman saying that they should be put in a hole and acid poured on them, which I'm like, no, prison will be better. And some are like, yeah, they should go to prison. Some are like, no, prison is not for children. And all of this is, and I'm like, no. They should serve a life sentence for every, or at least 25 years. Because people are saying that no, children cannot serve life sentences. Okay, fine. Let them serve 25 years for each person that died. And for the people who are injured, attempted murder or whatever you call it, attempted homicide, that one, the name that they use to describe whatever happened, that was murder. They killed their fellow students. So they should serve like 25 or 30 or 35 years per head. So one person serving 16 counts of 25 or 35 years. I do not care because prison will be better. Killing somebody who has committed murder or any kind of sin is not the right thing. Let them go to prison, let them suffer because they'll be living life, yes, but not outside, not free. And they shouldn't have parole like at all in their lives because that was wrong. If they would have just started the fire and ran out, left the door open, then others would have also woken up and left or woken up the other girls and started the fire. That would have been understandable. But they started the fire, went out and locked them inside. They knew what they were doing and nobody can convince me otherwise. So these boarding schools, when you take your kid to boarding school, can you teach them well? Can you tell them what to do and what not to do? Because I'm saying this, and God forbid that if I ever have a child, they become like that. Because I think I'm the kind of person who will tell my child, like, if you go to school and do this, I'm going to leave you to go to prison. And I know people will say, you're just saying that because you're not yet a mom. I'm saying this because I feel like it's true. Because knowing myself, I would have raised you to be the best version of yourself. I would have tried. Like, not in a strict kind of way, but I would have showed you love. I would have showed you kindness. I would have told you all the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Then for you to go to school and fall under peer pressure, your friends tell you, yeah, let's do this. And then you do it. You have to understand the consequences. I will support you. I'll be there with you in court. But whatever the judge decides, I'm with them. You ruined your life for yourself. Because nobody in our household ever told you that that is right, that that is correct, that that is what you should do. Ban other kids in the dorm. Nobody taught you that in our household. And they understand these are the kids who start causing tantrums from a young age, and their mom goes like, achana na huyo anakuanga hivo. When Junior gets upset, he just starts doing that, cutting people and slapping people. The children who slap their parents and their parents start crying instead of pitching those thighs and those cheeks and making them understand who's the boss. Like, I get it. Nowadays with gentle parenting, Kamama doesn't like that. Kamama, asiyefunzwa na mamaye hufunzwa na ulimwengu. So let the ulimwengu funzwa those kids. And I'm not saying putting the blame on the parents, because the parents might have done the right thing. That's why I'm saying, if I raise you to be a good person, I myself am never, swayed by peer pressure. Never. I've never, even during my adolescence, never. Well, a little bit, because I started going to Catholic church because all my friends were going to Catholic church. So there was that, but it was church, So it wasn't like going to burn people up. So, like, if as a person, I've never been swayed by peer pressure, and I've taught my child not to be swayed by peer pressure. I've taught them, as I said, the fruits of the Holy Spirit and the 10 Commandments and all of these things. And then they go and still fall under peer pressure, and they end up doing something like this. God, I tried. You gave me this child as a blessing, as a present, as a gift to me. And I did the best I could. But you have to understand, a child is some percentage of the mom, percentage of the dad, percentage of the ancestors and the former generations. And then they have a percentage of themselves, their former life maybe. And that thing that made those girls do that is that percentage. Because their parents are out here. They're not in prison. So they never killed anybody. So why did the children do that? And you can't tell me, oh, they're 14, they're 13, they're 15, they're 16. They didn't know what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. Fire burns, right? From a young age, I see my cousins when they're young and they want to touch the sufuria with their hands while the gas is... Their parents go like, don't, moto, moto, moto. And then if they insist, the parent allows you, touch, get burnt, and you will never touch it again because you know it's fire. And it stings, it pains. So from a young age, you have known if you touch fire, it's going to burn you. So you can't tell me that they didn't know. So I want the maximum punishment to be given to these cults. And I'm not even feeling sorry for them or anything, because they did not feel sorry for the other kids. And their parents for being, because the lady was saying that acid should be poured on them. She was like, their parents are very smug. Then caught feeling like they are the ones who were wronged, that their children should not be in court, their children should not be... No. Parents, listen, your child killed somebody else. Let them suffer the consequences. And if you want, you can join them there too. Or maybe you serve their time for them and you leave them out here. Best believe they'll commit worse crime than that. There are things I would say do not arrest a person. Like, ukipata mtu has stolen a chicken to go and feed their children, let them be. Or give them, let them come, give them a portion of your land to come and, farm for you. Like, mwambie kuja ulime hapa, urudishe pesa uliba kuku yangu. They will have worked for it. There's some punishment you can do na chief, na nini, locally, instead of taking somebody to prison, because I know committee is full of people who are innocent. It's full of people who did some very stupid mistake. But then murderers and pedophiles and rapists are walking around here with us. You smile at them, they smile at you, and you think you've had a connection. And then voila, they end up committing femicide. They end up committing atrocious things to the neighborhood kids. And to Zainabede, we are supposed to take them into our hands. Because, listen, this is the thing. These parents for these children, I understand what they want. They want their children to be set free. Oh, our children are young. Oh, their lives are going to be destroyed. Oh. But let me ask you, their faces are out here. Do you think there's any other school that is going to take them after what they did? And if they go, and the other children know that this child is one of the children who killed the others in school, do you think they're going to treat them well? The parents in that school might boycott. They might say, we don't want this murderous kid studying with our child, because they might influence them badly. They might, bring that disastrous thing they did there here. So we don't want her here. Nobody will want them. Society will not want them. It's like their story that was in London about these teenage boys who pinned down a girl and put a knife on her neck or something and took advantage of her and took videos. They go to court and that judge decides, these young boys, they are guilty, yes, but you're going to set them free because they need to be back into the society and to be, given a chance to be better human beings. They are rapists as kids. They will be rapists as adults. They will be pedophiles as adults. They used a knife on this young girl. They are going to do it as adults still. So I heard that story. People, went to the streets because of it. And I don't know, the judge was being looked into and that case was reopened or something. I don't know. So I don't know how it has gone so far. I haven't followed it up, but they should be in prison. What do you mean they should be reintegrated into the society? For what? Who will want to be around them? Who will want to be their friend? Because for all intents and purposes, they'll always be the boys who took advantage of that girl. And where is that girl supposed to go? Looking at these people being like so afraid that they might do the same thing again. And them feeling like, oh, we got away with it. We did it and we got away with it. If these girls are released, they're going to think that they got away with it and they're going to do even worse. So let them go to prison. Okay? Let them go to prison. And our boarding schools, again, manage them well. Put emergency exits. Put fire extinguishers. Because why is it that businesses are forced to have extinguishers, but dormitories are not? Cars, matatus are forced to have fire extinguishers. Cars, normal ones, forced to have fire extinguishers, but dormitories are not. Come on, boarding school heads, like you have to do that. Every dorm should have a fire extinguisher. Can every school in the country have a freaking borehole? Because I remember my time in boarding school, sometimes water will just disappear. And they will have to go to the river and fetch water from there. Or if it's raining, we had a tank that used to get rainwater. So if it was raining, we'll get that. Imagine taking that water in the morning while it's raining and you're showering with rainwater and the rain is raining on you because the Form 1, Form 2 bathroom was open at the top. It used to be terrible. But can we have like bathrooms at the end of the dormitories? Like every dorm should have their own bathroom and toilet and they should have water in them. Because the kids were like, we tried to go and get water to help to put out the fire, but there was no water in the school. So can we have like water in every boarding school? Let all of them have boreholes. Like not even just one, like even two or something like that. All of them should have boreholes. Should have a fire strategy, fire emergency. They should be taught how to come out of their dorms in case of something like that. Can boarding schools try and find ways to never have this experience ever again? Let no other child die in a fire in a school. Like for crying out loud, can we do something about it? And can we not shut kids inside the dormitories? Let them have a way of living if they want to. I'm glad for my boarding school because I was the dorm captain after Irish left. And we used to lock it from the inside. So if somebody wanted to go and pee, if somebody wanted to go outside for whatever, they could and then they come back and they lock it again. and you go back to bed. So I'm going to leave it at this because that is just like my musings about that story. It's just so sad. So sad. But boarding schools should find a way to never allow that to happen again. Like, you know how when there's been a plane crash or something, the way they look into it, the way they make sure that same thing never happens to any other plane, that's the same thing they should do. Nothing like that, what happened at Utumishi Girls, should ever happen in any other school. Like the last big one was, in Bombolulu Girls. I remember going to high school years later after the Bombolulu tragedy and being so afraid that the same thing was going to happen to me in a boarding school. I survived boarding school. I survived high school without any strike or anything like that from the students, and I'm super glad for it. But that is not the story for every kid. Because again, I cannot imagine taking a child to school and entrusting them in the hands of the teachers and the matrons and everything, and then you get that call and you have to go and verify if that burnt body belongs to your child or it doesn't. There's a parent who died on her way going there because she was rushing, driving to go, and she got into an accident and passed on the spot, I think. So these kids that people are saying, no, do not be so harsh on them. They didn't just kill the 16, they killed 17 because another life was taken because of their mistake. So yeah, may the girls rest in peace, and may those kids never know peace. And to an extension, the parents, if they're the ones who are going like, oh, our children, do not defend a criminal like that. There's a crime that can be forgiven, there's a crime that cannot be forgiven. Killing somebody is not like stealing. And I know stealing is also bad, but if you have not taken someone's life, you deserve less time. So no mercy should be shown on them. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at this. Remember that I'm still baking. So if you want me to come and cook for you or bake for you, please make your order on my DM, Mimi's Musings Podcast. That's on Instagram. Mimi's Musings Podcast on my TikTok. Then come back here after following me there. Come back here. Remember to please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that whenever I upload something new, you're going to be amongst the first people to come and watch. Okay?